welcome to another up close video. So for today's video I've got another Polkadoodles up close look at some gorgeous Christmas releases from Polkadoodles. We've got some stencils and some stamps, and I'm going to show you a couple of die sets that I used in some of the cards as well, so you know the name of them. I haven't got the stamps in their original or their actual packaging, but I presume that they will come out in the normal like Polkadoodles packaging with the information at the top and then like a suggestion of how to colour them, which I presume is what the colours are on the stamps that I have. So that's what they will look like, obviously smaller stamp sets, but it will be this kind of theme, and obviously the stencils will be in packaging as well. But I haven't got the actual packaging to show you, but I want to show you the samples that I've created because Nikki also kindly sent me all of these goodies to create some samples for the shows on her chanda as well. And I've really loved using them. If you love that kind of whimsical, cartoony, stylised, modern kind of look to your cards, you're going to absolutely adore these stamps. And I really love this snowman. He is so adorable, and I cannot wait to make some more Christmas cards using all of these gorgeous goodies. I didn't actually film any of the samples that I've created, which is a little bit annoying, but I didn't have enough time to. But I will definitely be using these in some card making videos because I just really love them so much and I want to send them these at Christmas. So there are 3 stencils in this release. I've only used a couple of them on my project, but this is a gorgeous, I'm not sure the names of these actually, but this is a gorgeous holly kind of border stencil, and it's a really decent size. I reckon you could fit it on a DL card. Yeah, it's 20.5 centimetres, so it would fit really nicely on a DL card. You can emboss this in your die cutting machine, you can emboss it into your card and use mousses and stuff to pick up the detail, or you can ink through it, or you can do what I actually used it for on my cards, where I pressed distress inks onto it, sprayed it with water, flipped it over and printed the design onto my background as well, which I really love doing with this kind of a stencil. So there's this one, there's this snowfall one, which I just used with a little bit of pumice stone ink on one of my cards. But again, this doesn't have to be snowfall. If you used it sideways on a card, it can kind of look like a sort of background effect really, where the dots are just getting more diffused as they go across the card, or even this way it could be falling confetti. It doesn't have to be snow, or it could be going up this way, and you could have like flower elements, and it could be sort of the background for like a woodlandy flower kind of a scene, and that's sort of the blurry background of all the flowers behind or something. And then there's also this one, which I didn't get a chance to use, but it's really clever. So you've got loads of words inside it, but look, this one, it says cocoa, and it's actually a mug of cocoa, which is really cool. Then you've got ho ho ho, you've got Christmas time, you've got baby it's cold outside, you've got 25th of December, and you've got snowflake kisses. So you can easily mask any of these off and just ink them to give you that sentiment on your card. You can use it to create a whole overall background on your card, and I love the size of their stencils as well, because this is perfect for a DL card, but A6 or American A2 cards are the same width as a DL card, so you can also just use the top portion or the bottom portion on those kind of sized cards as well. And obviously you could use it on a square card. Obviously you don't have to use it as a whole thing. You can do a little bit, move it, do another bit, move it, you know, loads of different bits and pieces you can use of this. So that is the stencils. Then there's kind of like 2 collections of stamps that are coming out. There's 2 slightly larger stamp sets and then 4 slightly smaller stamp sets. These 2 stamp sets I think are being classed as like the Ho Ho Holly collection, and these as the Jingle Bell Joy collection. Pretty sure it's Jingle Bell Joy. Yeah, Jingle Bell Joy. I haven't got the names on the packaging, but I've got them in front of me, so I will tell you what the names are. So let's go through these 2 stamp sets first. So we have this one, which is called Ho Ho Holly, and then we have this one, which is called Perfect Poinsettias. I really love both of them. I love this scribbly doodly style of the holly leaf, and once you stamp these out, you'll be like amazed by them, because I was using this one and I created a whole background, heat embossing it with bronze coloured embossing powder, and I was just blown away by the detail that's in there and how gorgeous it looks when you stamp it and start to build up a background with it as well. But loads of these designs, you can do really cool backgrounds. You can fussy cut them out and build up your own sort of holly wreath if you want to. You can add these as corners onto your designs. For the poinsettias on one of my cards, I used them, I stamped some of them and coloured them with Copics, and then the other ones I stamped onto patterned paper and then trimmed them out as well. But I also stamped the design straight onto my background so that I still got all of the little swirly elements that are sort of more difficult to cut out, so I could actually cut right up to the petals as well. So again, lots of different ways to use them. So example, for the hollies, you could also paper piece the hollies back in using a green patterned paper, or even a paper that you've added inks to and you just want to paper piece those bits back over the top. I really love that she adds in loads of like scribbly, doodly kind of designs as well, because they're really great for just adding a little bit of extra texture or interest to an inky background that you've created, or even to personalise a patterned paper more towards you, you know, which I think is really lovely. So you can like pick any pattern paper that you have, but you can add all of these little extra elements to it to give it more of a unique look, really. So, you know, like with a pattern paper pad, you often get 4 of the same design of a piece of paper. If you add these sort of little swirly, scribbly ones with a tone-on-tone ink, you're then completely changing the look of that paper. So then, you know, you've got more looks from a patterned paper pad. But yeah, so these are the Perfect Poinsettias and the Ho Ho Holly stamp sets. I think I've only done one card with each of these, but yeah, they're really, really gorgeous designs. Then this is the Jingle Bell Joy collection, which I really, really love. And I've created, yeah, at least one card with each of these stamp sets. I think I did 2 with this one, 2 with this one, and 2 with this one. But yeah, really, really gorgeous designs, and their names are, so this one is called Jingle Bells with the reindeer on. The snowman is called Smiley Snowman, which makes sense because he's a smiling snowman. Then this one is called Deck the Halls, and this one is called Curly Christmas. I really love the designs. They're just so gorgeous. I love the sketchiness of them. I love that she adds in all of these little sketchy circles, so you've kind of already got snow built into some of the designs, or baubles like this one. They definitely emulate baubles, but there's also smaller little bits that could be the snow falling down as well. And the sentiments that are in here too. You get one sentiment in each set, and these two you can use together. So on a couple of cards actually I used Christmas Joy together, and then Jingle Bells. I love that Jingle Bells. It's really cool. It's got like extra little bits that stamp on it to give that sort of accent to them. You'll see what I mean when I show you the cards. And then you've got a tiny little one that says it's Christmas time. And a lot of these sentiments actually, I think I only used one with this die set, but they would go really nicely with this Posydoodles tags die set. Especially the Christmas would fit perfectly on this banner. Again, this one fits perfectly on that banner too, and the Joy as well. So you can really sort of bring in your dies and stuff to use with them. And that little tag actually would perfectly fit Joy on it too. So let's show you them all up close. So this one is, let me see, find it again, Jingle Bells, with 2 gorgeous sketchy trees which are at different heights to each other, which makes like creating a scene or giving perspective really easy to do. This gorgeous little reindeer, he is so adorable when you stamp him out, so cute. A little sprig of holly, a couple of different jingle bells as well, which again can be, you can create a whole repeated pattern background using them. You've got this gorgeous dotty one, I love these dotty ones, which could be snow, or you could add it as extra baubles or something, and then you've got a gorgeous little heart as well. Then the Smiley Snowman, you've got the gorgeous snowman, he is so cute. Should I give you a size for him? So he is about 9.5 centimetres tall which is just under 4 inches, so he's a really decent size. And obviously when you put his hat on him, he gets a little bit taller again as well, and the hat fits perfectly on his head and he looks so adorable with it on. And you also have a candy cane, which he can use as a walking stick. It's the perfect height to go underneath his hand to be a walking stick. And you also get an extra sprig of holly, and he also has a sprig of holly on his scarf as well, which is really sweet. And then you get the Christmas sentiment. Then this one is the Curly Christmas. Yep, Curly Christmas. That tree is really gorgeous, and it really does lend itself to a watercolory look. I think it looks gorgeous with watercolours. Then you've got another little heart, and I love that the hearts aren't just hearts. Like this little heart, look, it's got like little dots on it as well, which is so sweet. Like the detail that goes into these stamps is crazy. You've got this gorgeous like curvy present. I didn't actually get a chance to use the presents, but they are really sweet. And you've got a second present here again with those dots already built into the pattern. You get a gorgeous little square of snow, so you can really easily create a whole snowfall background or a border of snow, loads of different things. And then you've got this sort of little garland of baubles and stars and bells, and actually the next set has these designs on a larger scale. They're actually the same designs on a larger scale, and the little word in that says it's Christmas time. Sorry, you can't really read it because my stamps are dirty. And then the final stamp set, which is the Deck the Halls, has this gorgeous tree, which doesn't actually have a bottom. You don't realise that until you stamp it, but it actually kind of just looks like flowing down streamers and stuff with a load of baubles inside it. But again, it lends itself really nicely to a watercoloured look as well, if you're into your watercolouring. And these are those designs bigger, you see. You've got the little bell, which is over here. You've got the round bauble, which is here. And you've got that long bauble, which is here as well. And I really love these. I use them on a card, giving sort of like a partial sort of design to a card, using the string that comes in the stamp set as well. And I also use the heart dangling down as well. And that heart, oh yeah, the heart is actually a larger version of that tiny heart I showed you up close on that die set and stamp set as well. So I really love that. I hadn't noticed that before, that they're the same design, but that's really cool. So you could really give perspective actually. You could have a focal element of these ones hanging and put that right in the background, and it looks like the bunting sort of carries on across a room or something. Anyway, those are all of the stamps. Now I'm going to show you the cards that I created using them as well. So I think I made 8 cards in total. Yeah, I did. 8 cards in total. This one was the first one I made, and I used the snowman, obviously, and I masked him so that, or I stamped the hat first, and then masked it off and stamped him over the top, and then I masked his hand and stamped the candy cane under his hand, so he's a complete scene all in one dimension, completely flat. And I just used I used Copics to colour him, and then I used like the Nuva Aqua Shimmer and some Crystal Glaze just to add different little elements, and I used the Sakura Glaze pen for his eyes as well. And for the sentiment, I used this die from Polkadoodles called Merry Christmas, and I just used the Merry and I shadowed it with black and white, and then used the Christmas from the stamp set that had the snowman in. And then I also used that Snowfall stencil with a little bit of pumice stone distress ink to give that snowy background to him as well. And I just used a black pen to carry on some of the snow underneath the image too, because he only had a tiny bit of snow underneath the snowman. So I just sort of extended it in a kind of haphazardy way to finish off that card. Then I did this one using that stencil, the same idea that I showed you, or that I explained with that stencil, where you squish on a few colours of distress ink, spray it with water, flip it over and print it onto your card. And this was Twisted Citron, Lucky Clover and Mermaid Lagoon, I think it was, just to create a cool, really bright and vibrant kind of Christmas card. And then I used that curly Christmas tree on top of it, and I just used a water brush to drag out the colour to fill in the Christmas tree. And then I also used a star, and the star is actually from the Floral Fireworks stamp sets that I showed in my other up close video, but I just thought it would go so well, and the tree just needed heightening a little bit to fit nicely on this card. So I just added that on. I used a bit of Midas touch on the tree, and I used that Jingle Bells stamp as well. And you can see what I mean here. It's got those little dashes that go around it, which I think it just looks so cool. And I love these little splash marks coming out as well. Really, really gorgeous. And I really like how that card turned out. And then, kind of combining these two cards, I thought I just had to send Nikki a thank you card to say thank you for sending all the gorgeous goodies. So I combined my favourite snowman with another version of the background. This was my test one. It came out a little bit patchier than the one I decided to use. And then I coloured the snowman to match the colours of here. And I just used the sentiment stamp set that I also showed in that floral fireworks up close video, and I put thank you, you are incredible. And I also decoupaged this one a little bit. So I stamped his hat separately and then stuck it on afterwards so that I could add a bit of 3D foam underneath it. And I also added him on in 3D foam as well. But I just really love that snowman. He's just so adorable, and he just looks so cute. So I just had to make her a thank you card to say thank you. So that's that. Then this is the one I was saying about adding all of the baubles dangling down. A really quick and easy Christmas card to make. I did a little bit of masking around the bell so I could get the heart to go behind it, and I did mask off this little bit of the bauble before I stamped on this long bauble as well, just in case it overlapped. But yeah, I just really love how that turned out, and I just added in my own doodled wiggly ones for the bells because I thought adding too many of these would look too clunky. And whenever I'm using sort of doodly kind of stamps, I just try and emulate that style when I add in any of my own little details. So try and use a scribbly line or add some little hashes in to sort of tie it all in together, and then you don't really notice that you've added it in afterwards. But yeah, I really like how that one turned out. And any of the little dot elements on those designs, I used some White Blizzard Nouveau Crystal drops just to fill them in to give a little bit of sparkle to the card as well. Then I did, let me show you another simple one. This is another really simple one, using that reindeer, and I actually watercoloured him in. All I did was stamp him 3 times, added the Christmas and Joy together underneath it. Oh, and that one was adding the Christmas and Joy together, but I did it right justified. I don't usually do that. I usually do left justified things or central, but I just thought they looked quite cool. Anyway, so this one, yeah, I did watercolouring. I actually used my Arteza watercolour palette, and I just used greens and reds and browns to make it really, really simple, and I used the black glaze pen on his eyes. But that's just a really, really simple card, but just to show how you can do some really quick and simple Christmas cards with these as well. This one took slightly longer, and so did this one because of the colouring and everything, and like cutting that one out, but you can do some really simple, gorgeous Christmas cards with these as well. Another quite simple one, again I was doing this with my watercolours, I combined the trees together. So this is this tree from Deck the Halls, I think it was called, and then I used the other 2 trees from this one, I can't remember the name of it, but they all stagger nicely in height order. And I stamped these 2 trees first, and I did actually mask them a little bit. I didn't really need to, but I did decide to mask them a little bit, and then I stamped the other tree in the centre of them, and I think they look really nice together. I think they go really, really well together. And then yeah, I just use watercolours to colour that in, and use some bright pinks and reds to do all of the baubles on there, and then I use that Jingle Bell sentiment again, and I flicked on a load of the Aqua Shimmer from Nouveau to give sort of subtle snow falling in the background for that one. Then this is the one where I said I used this one, the holly, Ho Ho Holly, and I used this big corner element here, and I not clear, I stamped in clear ink and heat embossed with a coppery colour embossing powder all over the background. Then I did some messy watercolour, just literally just greens, reds, and then a tiny bit of indigo blue, really lightened down to colour the snow in, and I flicked some of that in the background too, and I also flicked on some metallic watercolour as well. And then to finish this one, I used 2 die sets from Polkadoodles. So I used this Posydoodles ovals, the smaller one with the dotted detail on, to cut out a vellum to create an area as a focus for my sentiment, and then I used the Merry Christmas sentiment die set as well. And I actually cut that out of brown card, stacked it up 3 times, and then used the same embossing powder as I'd used on the holly for the background as well. I think that looks really nice. And then the final card I did, I was trying to bring in patterned papers, and I was trying to bring in a non-Christmas patterned paper pad but make it a Christmas card. So I was using this pack of papers, which is Bright and Beautiful. It's got 24 sheets. Again, they're 160 GSM, I think. It doesn't say it on the front, but they felt the same quality as the other ones I was using. There are 6 designs, 4 of each, and I used a couple of the designs for this card. I used this one for the background to give that sort of viney design, and then I used this pink polka dot one for 3 of the flowers. So for this one I took these Poinsettia stamps, which is the perfect poinsettia stamp set. I used these 2 ones, and I stamped them multiple times onto this piece of patterned paper that I trimmed down to size, and then I stamped 2 small and a large onto my normal white cardstock that I like to colour onto, and 2 small and a large onto that pink patterned paper as well. For the pink ones on the patterned paper, I did add a little bit of Copic colouring into them just to give them a little bit of depth, because there's depth in the other ones. And then for the ones I'd stamped onto white card, again I coloured them completely with Copic markers, but bringing in a slightly darker red tone, so you've got pinks and reds. And I just thought having the mixture of actually coloured in ones and using patterned papers, I thought it was a really nice kind of mixture between them. And I also used the Posydoodles tag, that one there, with that It's Christmas Time sentiment to complete that as well. And then I left some of the white of the card showing to sort of balance the white of that sentiment as well. And I did use a white gel pen in the centres of the flowers, but it went a bit yellow because I had Copic colouring underneath. And then I finished it off with a scattering of sequins with White Blizzard Nouveau Drops in the centre of them as well. So I think that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this up close video looking at these gorgeous Christmassy Polkadoodles stamp sets and stencils, and a paper pad and a few dies as well. I have loved working with these so much, and I cannot wait to set aside some time and make some of my own Christmas cards using these gorgeous designs as well. So all of the links to everything will be in the description below, and there'll be picture links over on my blog as well. You can get them from polkadoodles.com if you're in the UK, and then I think if you're in America, it's probably better to purchase from Simon Says Stamp, because they also carry all the Polkadoodles goodies. So I will make sure to link to both shops below as well, so you've got easy access to where to find them all. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!